Next one is a circular interpolation clockwise, which means we are moving in the clockwise direction from the starting point to the end point, and we have to have a radius at which the tool has to move and also the feed rate at which the tool has to move. So these many parameters are required to get the circular interpolation. So for clockwise we are using the G code as G02. G means it is the code which will specify something about the tool motion. 02 is a number which will tell that it is a clockwise circular interpolation. So circular interpolation means between the starting point and the ending point, the controller will compute a series of intermediate points along the circular path at the given radius in the given direction, and then the tool will move along all those points to generate the required kind of profile. So what is the syntax for this one? The syntax is G02 XA ZB RC and FD. So G02 is for specifying the circular interpolation in clockwise direction. XA, X is the X coordinate, A is the coordinate values, ZB is the Z coordinate, B is the value of the Z coordinate of the end point of the motion, to which point you want to move, that is the X and Z we have to specify here. Then RC, R is the mentioning about the radius, C is the value of the radius of the curve along which we want to move. F and D, D is the feed rate value we have to specify, F indicates that we are specifying the feed value. So G code is there, we are having X letter which means it is the X coordinate, Z letter means Z coordinate, R letter here means it is the radius, F letter means here it means it is the feed rate. Now if you take the example for a motion here, we want to move from P1 to point P2. The coordinates of the point P2 are 50 and minus 40. We want to move along a curved path whose radius is 120 millimeter and in the clockwise direction at a feed rate of 80 millimeter per minute. So that is the requirement. Now what is the motion of the tool? How does the tool movement look like? So the tool movement will look like this. From P1 to P2 you are moving along a curved path. The radius of this particular arc will be 120 millimeter. Now the question is why the curve is coming downwards instead of moving upwards. Since we want to move in the clockwise direction, so between these 2 points we will have the center over here. So the tool has to move like this, so that in order to get the clockwise direction. If you are moving like this, then the circle center will be somewhere over here. This particular movement will make it in the counterclockwise direction. So the tool has to move like this. So whenever you see a geometry from one point to the other point it is going like that, then it means it is a clockwise motion. So we have to use G02. So what are the values that we have to input? So it will be G02. X coordinate of the end point is 50 millimeter, that is 50. Z coordinate is minus 40 here, so that will write Z minus 40. The feed rate, the radius of the curve is 120, so we will write R 120, and the feed rate is 80, so F 80. So these many values we have to give. Now when the controller reads this particular line or this particular block, so from whatever the starting point is there, it will come to the end point, that is P2, 50 and minus 40 at a rate of 80 millimeter per minute. Then from that particular starting point it will move in the clockwise direction at a radius of 120 and it is coming to this particular point. So here whenever we specify X and Z coordinate, it is the X and Z coordinate to the ending point or to the point where the tool has to go. That is what is required. So when now it will move from this particular starting point or wherever the tool is present, from that point it is going to go towards the point we are specifying. So always it is the ending point of the motion. So now we have consider we will have two motions. There is a circular interpolation clockwise and we want to make two movements. First movement is from P1 to P2 in the clockwise direction, and then from P2 to P3 in the clockwise direction. So first motion is having a radius of 120, the second movement is having a radius of 70 millimeter, and the feed rate for both the cases, let us say it will be 80 millimeter per minute. So for the first motion from P1 to P2, the clockwise motion is like this. It is coming up to this particular point. So the G code will be, or the program will be G02, X50, Z minus 40, R120 and F80. So all the parameters are clear. X50 because 50 is the X coordinate of point P2, Z minus 40, that minus 40 is the Z coordinate of the point P2, R120, that is 120 millimeter is the radius from P1 to P2, F80 is the feed rate at which the tool has to move. Next, from P2 to P3 it has to move in the clockwise direction. So this will be the path the tool will take. From P2 to P3 it has to be in the clockwise direction. So the center will be somewhere over here. So in this direction the tool is moving. So the G code will be G02 X80. 80 is the X coordinate of point P3. Z minus 60. Minus 60 is the Z coordinate of point P3. Then we are having R70. That is the radius of the arc here, R70. F80 is a 80 millimeter is the feed rate at which the tool has to move. So whenever it reaches the second line, it will come to this particular point at a radius of 70 millimeter, feed rate of 80 millimeter per minute. It will come in this particular path. It is going to stop at point P3. Whatever the repeated words are there like G02 and F80, we can neglect them also while typing writing the program. We can as well eliminate them, because when the controller reads in this way, where it will read X80 means, since it is not specified what is the type of motion, it will see what is the earlier motion that is specified, that is G02 is there, so it will consider it as G02 only. Then it has X coordinate, it has got a Z coordinate. If it has got the R radius value also, it has not got any feed value here, so it will take whatever is the previous feed rate, so that is F80, and it will execute the same way. So either you can specify all the parameters every time, or you can whatever the repeating parameters are there, you can neglect them as well, so that we can reduce the amount of typing you have to perform. That is about the circular interpolation clockwise.